Topic number 7. Organization design, structure, culture, and control. Good day and hello everyone. I am LYKA DELFIN from BSBA, major in Marketing Management 2. This is the content of my topic. First is Zappos, strategy implementation, how to organize for competitive advantage, organizational inertia and the failure of established firms, the key elements of organizational structure, and last is the specialization. Zappos, designed to deliver happiness. Zappos is a shoe and clothing store. Zappos' mission is to deliver happiness to make its customer, employee, and stakeholders happy. They put several policies and procedure in place. But before we go on that, I will share to you a brief story of Zappos came from. Zappos' beginning, rather. In the year 1999, Nick Swimmer, which is the founder of Zappos, was shopping at San Francisco Mall, looking for a pair of brown Airwalk Desert Chukka boots. One store had a right style, but not the right color. Another store had the right color, but not the right size. He's been searching for an hour. Nick left empty-handed and frustrated. At that moment, by identifying the gap between what customers needed and what online retail could accomplish, Nick decided to quit his day job and solve this problem himself. The idea was simple in concept but not so simple in execution. Nick wanted to serve customers find their local stores, resorted catalogs and mail orders for the shoes they wanted. Nick Swimmer approached Tony Shai and Lynn with the idea of selling shoes online. And that is the birth of shoesite.com and eventually came Zappos.com. After 2 months, Shai became CEO, where in just 10 years, he helped Zappos grow from nearly zero sales to a company with a $1.2 billion valuation. Also, he is the longtime CEO of Zappos for 21 years and he retired at August 2020 and he died November 20, 2020 from injuries sustained in a fire inside his home because of the connection circuit. Tony Shai priority is culture, company culture. In the year 2009, Amazon bought Zappos for $1.2 billion but they don't change the CEO, which is Tony Shai. Jeff Bezos said why he bought Zappos is because Zappos has a totally unique culture and he's seen a lot of companies but never seen a company with a culture like Zappos. And he thinks that kind of unique culture is a very significant asset. Zappos 10 core values. Deliver wow through service, embrace and drive change, create fun and little weirdness, be adventurous, creative, and open-minded, pursue growth and learning, build open and honest relationships with communication, build a positive team and family spirit, do more with less, be passionate and determined, be humble. The first core value of Zappos is deliver wow through service. Wow is such a short, simple word, but it really encompasses a lot of things. You must wow go above and beyond what they expected in every interaction with coworkers, vendors, customers, community, investors, with everyone. And whatever you do must have an emotional impact on the receiver. Zappos says that their company service is not an average, and they don't want their people to be average. They expect every employee to deliver wow. Whether internally with coworkers or externally with their customers or end partners. Delivering wow results in word of mouth. Zappos' philosophy is to wow with service and experience, not with anything that relates to monetary compensation. For example, when they don't offer discount or promotion to customers, but they deliver or give them the quality of products to more than what they expected. Also offer them something they didn't know what they need it. Zappos seeks to wow their customers, co-workers, vendors, partner, and in the long run to their investors. Second core value of Zappos is embrace and drive change. Part of being a growing company is that change is constant. For some people, especially those that came from a bigger companies, the constant change can be somewhat unsettling at first. If you are not prepared to deal with constant change, then you probably are not good fit for the company. We must all learn not only to not fear change, but to enthusiast- embrace it, and perhaps, even more importantly, to encourage and drive it. We must always plan for and be prepared for constant change. Change can and will come from all directions. It's important that anyone, anywhere in the organization is a sensor for meaningful change. For example, other company other company or brands are release a new or innovate a new product on the market, we or the Zappos must be the first have a new or innovate new product on the market. We must always be the first in line before other companies. If if we want to continue to stay ahead of our competition, we must continually change and keep them guessing. They can copy our images, our shipping, and the overlook of our website, but they cannot copy our people, our culture, or our service. And they will not be able to evolve and fast and as we can as long as embracing constant change is a part of our culture. That is the core value number 2 of Zappos. Zappos core value number 3 is create fun and little weirdness. One of the things that makes Zappos different from a lot of other companies is that they value being fun and being a little weird. They don't want to become one of those big companies that feels corporate and boring. They look for fun and humor in their daily work. They just want to attach weirdness to make life more interesting and fun for everyone. They want the company to have a unique and memorable personality. The company culture of Zappos is what makes them successful. And in their culture, they celebrate and embrace the diversity of each person's individuality. Zappos want people to express their personality in their work. One of the side effects of encouraging weirdness is that it encourages people to think outside of the box and be more innovative. When you combine a little weirdness and making sure everyone is also having fun at work, it ends up being a win-win situation for everyone. Employees are more engaged in the work that they do and the company as a whole become more innovative. Zappos core value number 4. Be adventurous, creative, and open-minded. Zappos, they think it is important for people and the company as a whole to be bold and daring, but not reckless. Zappos want everyone not to be afraid to take risks and not to be afraid to make mistakes, because if people aren't making mistakes, then that means they are not taking enough risk. They want people to develop and improve their decision-making skills. The management encourage people to make mistakes as long as they learn from them. They never want to become satisfied and accept the status of the company just because that's the way things have always been done. They should always be seeking adventure and having fun, exploring new possibilities. By having the freedom to be creative in their solution, they end up making their own luck. For example, Zappos need to be adventurous, creative, and open-minded, because sometimes being adventurous, creative, and open-minded will become the asset of the company. They should take risks because they can create a new product to offer to their customers that finds a new and different style and design. Zappos approach situation and causes them to be unconventional in solution because they have the freedom to think outside the box. But that's what allows them to rise above and stay ahead of the competition. Zappos core value number 5. Pursue growth and learning. At Zappos, they think it is important for employees to grow both personally and professionally. Zappos believe that inside every employee is more potential than they realize. Zappos' goal is to help employees unlock that potential, but it has to be a joint effort. Zapponians, or the people inside the Zappos have to want to be challenged for it to happen. Zappos believe that inside every employee is more potential than even employee herself realizes. Their goal is to help employees unlock that potential. Zappos is growing because they take on new challenges and they face even more new challenges because they're growing. Anyone who wants to compete with Zappos has to learn the same things. So problems are just mile mark makers. Each one Zappos pass means they gotten better. The only reason they aren't swamped by their competition is because that they do is hard and they do it better than anyone else, and other companies, if other companies did, they'd be the web's most popular shoe store. Sure, people have done parts of what Zappos to do before. But what we've learned over the years at Zappos is that the devil in the details. Zappos is that the devil is in the details. And that's where they're breaking new ground. For example, the company don't want their employees just be an employee. They want that when the company growing and learning, the employee is also growing and learning at the same time. So there are no expert in what Zappos doing except for Zappos itself. And for anyone that they bring on board, the best expertise they can bring is expertise at learning and adapting and figuring out new things, helping the company to grow. And in the process, they will also be growing themselves. Zappos core value number 6. Build open and honest relationships with communication. Fundamentally, Zappos believe that openness and honesty makes make for the best relationships because that leads to trust and faith. They value strong relationship in all areas, with employees, customer, even if internal or external. Strong positive relationships that are open and honest are big part of what differentiates Zappos from most other company. Strong relationship allows them to accomplish much more than they would be able to otherwise. A key ingredient in strong relationship is to develop emotional connections. It's important to always act with integrity in your relationships, to be compassionate, friendly, loyal, and to make sure that you do the right thing and treat your relationship well. At Zappos, they embrace diversity in thoughts, opinions, and backgrounds. The more widespread and diverse your relationship are, the bigger the positive impact you can make on the company. And the more valuable you will be to the company. Communication is always one of the weakest spots in the organization. No matter how good the communication is, they want everyone to always try to go to extra mile in encouraging through complete and effective communication. Core value number 7. Build a positive team and family spirit. Zappos place a lot of emphasis on their culture because they are both a team and a family. They want to create an environment that is friendly, warm, and exciting. They encourage diversity in ideas, opinions, and points of views. The best leader are those that lead by example and are both team followers as well as a team leaders. They believe that in general, the best ideas and decisions can came from the bottom up, meaning by those on the front line that are closest to the issues and or on the customers. The role of a mentor is to remove obstacles and enable the people he or she supports to succeed. The best team members takes initiative when they notice issues so that the team and the company can succeed. Take ownership of issues and collaborate with other team members whenever challenges arise. Team members have a positive influence of doubt and negative interaction. Zappos believe that the best team are those that not only with each other, but also interact with each other outside the office environment. Many of the company's best ideas have been direct result of informal interaction outside of the office. For example, the idea of their culture came about from a casual discussion outside the office. They are more than just a team, though they are a family. They watch out for each other, care for each other, and go above and beyond for each other because they believe and trust each other. They work together, they also play together. Their bonds go far beyond a typical co-worker relationship found at most other company. Core value number 8, do more with less. Zappos has always been about being able to do more with less. They don't talk casual. They are focused and serious about the operation of the business. Zappos believe in hard work and putting in an extra effort to get things done. They believe in operational excellence and realize that there is always room for improvement in everything they do. This means that Zappos work is never done. In order to stay ahead of the competition, or would be in the on competition, they need to continuously innovate as well as make incremental improvements to their operation. Always striving to make themselves more efficient, always trying to figure out how to do something better. They use mistake as a learning opportunities. Zappos must never lose their sense of urgency in making improvements. Zappos never settle for good enough because good is the enemy of great. And Zappos' goal is not only become a great company but to be the king of Amazon shoe jungle because they set and but to become the greatest service. No. Zappos' goal is not only become a great company, but to become the greatest service company in the world. That's why Zappos became the king of Amazon shoe jungle, because they set and exceed their own high standards, constantly raising the bar for competitors and for themselves. Core value number 9. Be passionate and determined. Passion is the fuel that drives himself and to move the company forward. All of the value are passion, determination, perseverance, and the sense of urgency. They are inspired because they believe in where they're doing and where they are going. Zappos don't take no or that will never work for an answer. Because if that had, Zappos would never had started in the first place. Passion and determination are contagious. They believe in having positive and optimistic but realistic attitude about everything they do, because they realize that this inspires others to have the same attitude. There is excitement in knowing that everyone you can work with has tremendous impact on a larger dream and vision, and you can see that impact day in and day out. Core value number 10. Be humble. While Zappos grown quickly in the past, Zappos recognized that there are always challenges ahead to tackle. They believe that no matter what happens, they should always be respectful to everyone. While they celebrate their individual and team successes, they are not arrogant, nor do they treat others differently from how they would want to be treated. Instead, they carry themselves with a quiet confidence because they believe that in the long run, their own character will speak for itself. So, that is the 10 core values of Zappos. Let's proceed to strategy implementation. Concern the organization, coordination, and integration of how work gets done. It is the key to gaining and sustaining competitive advantage. Take note, formulation is concerned to what to do. Implementation is how to do it. Strategy implementation consists of putting plans in place by formulating a strategy to achieve the organization's goals and objectives. It can also be described as the way as a business might develop, use, and integrate the organizational hierarchy, system, and culture to pursue strategies that will result in competitive advantage and improved performance. This is where the real action takes place in the strategic management process. Since this is where the tactics in the strategic plan will be transformed into action or actual performance, because strategic implementation is the most important and it is also the most difficult to achieve than the formulation. In the example, the organizational goal is to increase sales and regaining its market position. The strategy will specific action that will realize the goals. Strategy implementation is all about how the activities will carry out, who will perform them, and when and how often will they be performed, and last is where will the activities be conducted. Next, how to organize for competitive advantage. Organizational design. Process of creating, implementing, monitoring, and modifying the structure, processes, and procedures of an organization. The goal is to design an organization that allows managers to effectively translate their chosen strategy into a realized one. The key component of organizational design are structure, culture, and control. Structure determine how the work efforts of individual and teams are orchestrated, and how resources are distributed. An organizational structure defines the basic functional logic of an organization. It defines how organization strategy and scope are translated into different activities to be performed by different units, and how those units are linked and shaped to achieve common goal. Culture. Collectively shared values and norms of an organization members is a key of building block of organizational design. Organizational culture is the expectation of the business. These are unwritten rules that dictate the attire, work ethic, and overall structure of the business. A new, a new employee will often have to learn and follow this rule to fit into business and its culture. Consider it the personality of the business. This culture sets the standards for the workplace and affect how the employee are expected to act. Most organizations have a unique culture that sets them apart from the other businesses. These spoken culture rules affect the employees, managers, and owners of the business. Control. Internal governance mechanism to align the incentives of principals, shareholders, and agents, which is the employees. Organizational control refers to the process by which an organization influences its subunits and members to behave in a ways that lead to the attainment of organizational goals and objectives. When properly designed, such as control, should lead to better performance because an organization is able to execute its strategy better. Organizational control includes developing rules, guidelines, procedure, limits, or other protocols for directing the work and processes of employees in and department. These controls can include setting rules or procedures for financial transactions, employee behavior, and specific practices for all or individual departments. Organizational inertia and the failure of established firms. Inertia. A firm resistant to change the status of QUO can set the stage for the firm's subsequent failure. Successful firms often plant the seed of subsequent failure. They optimize their organizational structure to the current situation. This is the key element of organizational structure. That structure determines how the work effort of individuals and teams are orchestrated and how the resources are distributed. The blue arrows shows the firm's tightly coupled organizational design. The light gray arrows indicate pressures emanating from internal shifts such as accelerated growth, a change in the business model, entry into new market, a change in the top management team, or mergers and acquisitions. The dark gray arrows indicate external pressures which can stem from any of the pestle factors or forces. The key building blocks of an organizational structure are specialization, formulation, centralization, and hierarchy. Specialization describes the degree to which a task is divided into separate jobs, that is, the division of labor. Requires a trade-off between breadth and depth knowledge. Specialization, also known as a division of labor, is the first of the element of organization structure. Business leader must consider the job, task, and specific duties associated with given position, dividing work tasks among different jobs and assigning them to definite levels is the role of work specialization elements. An example would be given the first person in the assembly line the job putting the first three components together. The second person is the assembly line might then but put the decals on the product. And the third would be put in the item box. This approach helps ensure that company-specific workforce needs are met without any unnecessary duplication of effort. Work specialization ensures that all employees have specific duties that they are expected to perform based on each employee's work experience, education, and skills. This prevents an expectation that employees will perform for which they have no previous experience or training and to keep them from performing beneath their capacity. And that will be all. Thank you.
Good morning everyone. I am JUMAR DONAYRE, and I'll be the one who will discuss about how to organize for competitive advantage. First is formulation. Capture the extent to which employee behavior is steered by exclusive, codified rules and procedures. Formalized structures are characterized by detailed written rules and policies of what to do in specific situations. Informalizations are the best for me. McDonald's is the best example for this because in McDonald's, not just in McDonald's only, but it could be happen in other fast food chain or other company to have a written rules and policies, detailed written rules and policies, which contain the procedures of your works, the yeah, where you are, what is your workplace for that. And in McDonald's also they have a booklet, for their employees to follow the instructions, procedures in their work positions, and also includes the visions of their company to succeed and to organize their strategies. Next is centralizations. Refers to the degree to which decision making is concentrated at the top of the organizations. Based on the book, the best example is here WL, Gore, and associates in formality and innovations. Yeah, we will in this examples we will notice the informality because in this associations as an employee you can give your idea to the top managers and or you can give your idea to them and they can use your idea to succeed the company. And when you are already the member or employee, you are already hired in this association knowledge. Then number two, you have a freedom to encourage, help, and allow other associates to grow in knowledge, skills, and scope of responsibility. And also, this example includes number the ability to make one's own commitment and keep them. Based on how I understand these examples is the ability to make one's own commitments is about just keep focusing or just focus on your commitment, on your positions. Just focus on to work on it, and you'll be fine. And the number four is consultation with other associates before undertaking actions that could cause serious damage the reputation of the company. In this past definitive examples, number four is they have a freedom as employee of the one of the employee in these associations. You have a freedom to give your knowledge, your ideas for the sake of company's growth. Just remember this in number four, but in number four, you need to consult your ideas before you take an actions. This is one of the informality and innovations. Why? Because like in other company, they have a top management, so will decide will tackle about the innovations of their company to grow their company, to develop their strategies to be more and much competent with the other competitors. But in this, they have, but still all of you has a freedom to give your knowledge and to encourage everyone. Next is hierarchy. Determines the formal positions, base reporting lines, and thus stipulates who reports to whom. Based on how I understand this is about reporting lines. I'll give you an example, like in the fast food chain. Every fast food chain or any kind of business has a manager, and the manager has under by the head of managers of that particular department. Like marketing department has a top head of manager, and these managers who are distributed in different which will be a big effect to their slow company's growth. So that's all for today. Again, I am DONAYRE, your reporter for today. Thank you and keep safe, everyone.
Good day, everyone. I am XYZA Nicole Enriquez, and I am here because I will be the reporter for this topic. So, my topic is all about marketing business strategy and structure. So, here are the business strategies and structure. In cost leadership, the structure is mechanistic organization, centralized command and control, core competencies in efficient manufacturing and logistics. While the function of differentiation is organic organization, flexibility and mutual adjustment, product innovation, and marketing. In business, innovation is important for your company to innovate your products, to make your products more attractive to customers and consumers. Next function is integration and structure. So in here, as we can see in the slide, this is the process and product innovation, focus on economies of scale and scope. So I have here a strategy highlight. It is entitled as USA Today, Leveraging Ambidextrous Organizational Design. So in here, the newspaper USA Today, published by Gannett Company, has one of the wildest print circulations in the United States, close to 2 million. So though highly profitable in the mid-1990s, the newspaper faced the emerging threat of online news media. So they encountered a problem in their company, which is mostly free for the end user because the social media is free for everyone. Everyone can access through the social media. So Gannett decided to create a competing online offering, usatoday.com. That is their um that is further online. The online news unit hired staff from the outside, and its first general manager put in place an organizational structure with fundamentally different roles and incentives and a different culture. So usatoday.com's culture was that of a high-tech venture, whereas the print media USA Today had a more conservative corporate culture, physically and structurally separated from the print newspaper. So although usatoday.com successfully attracted readers and advertising dollars, Gannett starved the startup by draining resources. As a result, usatoday.com looks some key editorial talent because they lost some editorial talent because it could not provide competitive compensation packages. So to solve this problem, usatoday.com's general manager published for even greater independence and for profit and loss responsibility. The decision further isolated the startup from the print news unit. So on our next slide, it says here that managers can implement an integration safety by building an ambidextrous organization. So, In here, it attempts to balance and harness different activities in trade-off situations. One of the examples is the attempt to balance exploitation. So what is exploitation? I have here a definition of exploitation. It is applying current knowledge to enhance firm performance in the short term. So that's exploitation. So the next is exploration. As we can see, exploitation and exploration are completely different from each other. Exploration is searching for new knowledge that may enhance future performance. So, as a businesswoman or as part of the company, you should explore and search for new knowledge for you to enhance your future performance. To transform a functional structure into an ambidextrous organization, the CEO or the team of top executives must personally take responsibility for the integration and coordination across different functional areas. So they should have different business strategies. So on our last point, in here is the definition of drawbacks. So a feature that renders something is less acceptable, a disadvantage or problem. That's what drawbacks is. So while certainly attractive, the functional strategy is not without significant drawbacks. So one is that although the functional strategy facilitates rich and extensive communication between the members of the same department, it frequently lacks effective communication channels across departments. So every company has their own drawbacks. So as a manager or as the CEO of the company, you should have the skills of being a strategic leader, or you should know the functions and the structure of the business. That's all. Thank you for listening.
So hi guys, my name is LIEZEL FRIAS and I will be the reporter of multidivisional structures. Organizational structure that consists of several distinct strategic business units or SBUs, each with its own profit and loss P&I responsibility. Multidivisional structure is a business structure in which division within the company largely work autonomously to complete a single task or to control operation within a single region. And if you can see guys, corporate R&D president, corporate HQ staff is called her headquarters. Then below, if you see the SBU, SBU is responsible to operate as an independent entity, but it has to report directly to the headquarters of the organization about the status of its operations. Once a unit is given an SBU status, it can make its own decision, investment, budget, and etc. And when you're creating multidivisional structure, it requires identifying the function if she or he know what is she doing, because each division will have its own manager depending on the need of each division. For example, I am the manager but I'm not suitable for that division, then it doesn't work. That is why we need to get a manager that's in the position. To achieve an optimal match between strategy and structure, different corporate strategies requires different organizational structure. Firms that follow a single business or dominant business strategy at the corporate level gain at least 70% of their revenues from their primary activity. They corporate generally employ a functional structure. Managers using the inform organization structure to support a related diversification strategy should ideally concentrate the decision making at the top of the organizational. So when we say inform, this is a division will have its own autonomous management team and its own separate marketing, production, and function. The top managers at the head office leave the day-to-day running of the division to the manager responsible, although they monitor the profitable performance of the division manager and generally retain power over the allocation of investment fund to the division. So, corporate strategy, single business, they use structure, functional structure. Dominant business, they use functional structure. Related diversification, cooperative, multidimensional, they use structure. Unrelated diversification, competitive, multidivisional or informed, the structure they uses. Matrix structures, organizational structures that combine the functional structure with the inform. So when we say matrix structure, this is a combination of two or more types of organizational structures. Usually, there are two chains of command wherein project team members have two bosses or manager. Um, the two bosses is project manager and the functional manager. So when we say project manager, um they manage the resources while functional manager manage people. There have three types of matrix structure. The first, strong matrix organizational structure. The product manager has the authority and a full-time role. Then they control the budget. Next, balance matrix organizational structure. Both functional and project manager manage and control the budget. Then weak matrix project manager have limited authority while the functional manager can control the project budget. And the rest, engineer, marketing, sales, MFG, QC, that's called functional manager. Then product A manager, product B manager, that's the project manager. Used with various global strategies is an international strategy that the company leverage its own base core competency by moving into foreign markets. An international strategy is advantageous when the company pays low pressure for both local responsiveness and cost reduction. When a multinational enterprise or M&E pursues a multi-domestic at strategy, it attempts to maximize local responsiveness in the face of low pressure for cost reduction. A global strategy is one that a company takes when it wants to compete and expand in the global market. In other words, a strategy business pursue when they wish to expand internationally. A global strategy refers to the plan an organizational has developed to target growth beyond its borders. Especially, it aims to increase the sales of goods or services abroad. And also, global strategy covers three strategies: international, multinational, and global. What is international? International company is one that imports and export In other words, it sells to customer abroad and has foreign suppliers. Next, multinational. A multinational company, unlike an international one that has investment in other countries, multinational has business staff and premises in more than one country. The next and last, a global company. A global company has investment and is present in several countries. It markets its goods or services through the use of an identical coordinate, image, or brand in every market. So, global strategy, international, they use functional structure. Multi-domestic, they use multidivisional structure. Global standardization, they use multidivisional structure. Transitional, transnational, they use global matrix structure. And that's it. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmates. For today's topic, we are about to discuss organizational culture, values, norms, and artifacts. Organizational culture, values, norms, and artifact is the second key building block when designing organization for competitive advantage. Describe the collectively shared values and norms of an organization members. Defines the proper way to behave within the organization. This culture consists of shared beliefs and values established by leaders and then communicated and reinforced through various methods, ultimately shaping employee perceptions, behavior, and understand. Organization is a group of people that share their knowledge or share their perspective to a specific topic, and they will discuss it to their members just like a groupings discussion. Values define what is considered important. It is important that you know in your organization. It will help you to know it. At the same time, it will help you to improve your organizations. Next one is norms. Define appropriate employee attitude and behavior. Norms it is states about the appropriate employee attitude and behaviors. You know what is right and wrong attitude, and it is important for you to maintain the good quality of attitude and behaviors that you have. Employee learners about an organization's culture through socialization because it is a way of interaction, and your members will probably discuss to you their knowledge about the organizational culture. Social culture emerges when the company core values are widely shared among the firm's employees and when the norms have been internalized. It is about mas marami kang maibigay o mas makakaalam nito. And next one is corporate culture find its expression in artifacts. What is artifacts? Artifacts are the overt and obvious elements of an organization. They're typically the things even an outsider can see, such as furniture and office layout, dress norms, inside jokes, and mantras. Where do organizational culture come from? Founder imprinting, a process by which the founder defines and shapes an organization culture which can persist for decades after his or her departure. Founder imprinting. Organizational imprinting related to the founder focuses on the initial cultural knowledge that founders bring. Explain in details how the influence of the founder remains with the firm. In other terms, it is parang pasa-pasa or namamana and nananatili siya sa firm dahil sa impluensya ng founder, by the influence of the founder, and it will remain with the firm. Groupthink, a situation in which opinions coalesce around the leader without individuals critically evaluating and challenging the leader's opinion and assumption. Groupthink is brainwashing ideas. You have to give you as an individual share what you know or what your perspective is, and those members or those group that you had, you are about to give your opinions or assumption, and the leader should always be or not judging you because it's your own opinion and assumption after all. How does organizational culture change? Can be one of its strongest assets but also its greatest liability. An organization culture can turn from a core competency into a core rigidity. If a firm relies too long on the competency without honing, refining, and upgrading as the firm and the environment change. The core competency to core rigidity is possible example of core competencies are Walmart and inventory management, Honda and dealer management, and product realization, and Dell's distribution system. It is not like core competency become core rigidity. It's apparently or obvious. It is not black and white thing of suddenly all at once. Core rigidity, a former core competency that turned into a liability because the firm has failed to hone, refine, and upgrade the competency as the environmental change. Core rigidity can be explained as flip side. The dark side of core capabilities is revealed due to external events. When new competitors figure out a better way to serve that firm's customers, when new technologies emerge, or when political or social events shift the ground underneath. Organizational culture and competitive advantage. Can organizational culture be the basis of firms' sustainable competitive advantage? For this to occur, according to the resources-based review of the firm, the resource, in this case organizational culture, must be valuable, rare, difficult to imitate, and the firm must be organized to capture the value created. That is the VRIO principle. What is VRIO principles? VRIO stands for value, rarity, imitability, and organization. VRIO is an acronym for a four-question framework of value, rarity, imitability, and organizations. What is BRIO? BRIO is an initialism for the four-question framework asks about a resource or capability to determine its competitive potential. The question of value, the question of priority, the question of imitability is difficult to imitate, and the question of organizational ability to exploit the resources of capability. So that's all for my report. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned from it. So ayun, again, good morning to everyone.
Good day everyone, I'm Guillermo and I will discuss strategic control and reward system. Strategic control and reward system are the third and final key building block when designing organization for competitive advantage. So, what is strategic control? It is a term used to describe the process used by organization to control the formation and execution of a strategic plan. The purpose of control at the strategic level is not to answer the question, have we made the right strategic choices at some time in the past? But rather, how well are we doing now, and how well will we be doing in the immediate future for which reliable information is available. The point is,
not to bring the light past errors, but to identify needed correction to steer the corporation in the desired direction. And this determination must be made with respect to currently desirable long-range goals and not against the goals or plan that were established at some time in the past. Next is reward system. It is a motivation mechanism that stimulates people to behave in a certain way or achieve certain things. The reward system consists of all organizational components, including people, processes, rules and procedures, as well as decision-making activities involved in allocating compensation and benefits to employees in exchange for their contribution on the organization. This reward system works because both parties always benefit. If the salesperson makes more sales, then they will earn a higher salary, and business will benefit from having more clients. The purpose of the reward system in most organizations is to attract, retain, and motivate qualified employees. Strategic control and reward system are internal governance mechanisms put in place to align the incentive of principals, which is the shareholder, and agent, which is the employees. So, how are strategic control and reward system useful in designing organization for competitive advantage? It is useful because strategic control and reward system allow managers to specify goals, measure progress, and provide performance feedback. In Chapter 5, we discuss how firms can use the balanced scorecard framework as a strategic control system. In addition to the balanced scorecard framework, managers can use organizational culture, input controls, and output controls as part of the firm's strategic control and reward system. Organizational culture. As just demonstrated a while ago by ANNALYN, organizational culture can be a powerful motivator. It also can be an effective control system. Norms, informal and tacit in nature, act as a social control mechanism. Organizational culture describes the collectively shared values of its members. Zappos, for example, achieves organizational control partly through an employees' peer group. Each group member's compensation, including the supervisors, depend in part on the group's overall productivity. Peer control, therefore, exerts a powerful force on employee conformity and performance. Remember, companies may depend on group overall productivity, so peer control is big. Values and norms also provide control by helping employees address unpredictable and irregular situations and problems that usually common in service businesses. Values define what is considered important, and norms define appropriate employee attitudes and behavior. In contrast, rules and procedures, like codified in an employee handbook, can address only circumstances that can be predicted. Next is input control. Input control is a mechanism in a strategic control and reward system that seeks to define and direct employee behavior through a set of explicit, codified rules and standard operating procedures that are considered prior to the value-creating activities. The use of budget is key to input controls because managers set budget before employees define and undertake the actual business activities. For example, managers decide how much money to allocate to a certain R&D or research and development project before the project begins. In diversified companies using M-Form, corporate headquarters determine the budget for each division. Firms use input control when the goal is to define the ways and means to reach a strategic goal and to ensure a predictable outcome. They are called input control because management designed this mechanism so they are considered before employees make any business decision. Thus, they are an input into the value creation activities. Standard operating procedures or policies and rules are also a frequently used mechanism when relying on input control. In our discussion on formalization that DONAYRE discussed a while ago, he described how McDonald's relies on detailed operating procedures to ensure consistent quality and service worldwide. The goal of the management that use the input control is to specify the conversion process from beginning to end in great detail to guarantee standardization and minimize deviation. Input control is important when a company operates in different geographies and with different human capital throughout the globe but need to deliver a standardized product or service. Output control. It is a mechanism in a strategic control and reward system that seeks to guide employee behavior by defining expected result, which is the output, but leave the means to those results open to individual employees, groups, or strategic business units. Firms frequently tie employee compensation and rewards to predetermined goals such as a specific sales target or return on investment capital. When factors internal to the firm determine the relationship between effort and expected performance, outcome control are especially effective. At the corporate level, outcome control discourages collaboration among different strategic business units. They are therefore best applied when a firm focuses on a single line of business or pursue unrelated diversification. These days, more and more work requires creativity and innovation, especially in highly developed economies. These days, more and more work require creativity and innovation, especially in highly developed economies. As a consequence, so-called result-only work environment or roles have attracted significant attention. In role approach, you measure team members by their performance, result or output, not by their presence in the office or the hours that they work. You give them complete autonomy over their project and you allow them the freedom to choose when and how they will meet their goals. Today, 3M is best known for its adhesive and other consumer and industrial products, but its full name reflects its origin. 3M stands for Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company. Over time, 3M has relied on the RAW framework and has morphed into a highly science-driven innovation company. At 3M, employees are encouraged to spend 15% of their time on projects of their own choosing or time to explore new ideas. If any of these projects looks promising, 3M provides financing through an internal venture capital fund and other resources to further develop their commercial potential. In fact, several of 3M flagship products, including Post-it Note and Scotch Tape, were the result of serendipity. To foster continued innovation, moreover, 3M requires each of its divisions to derive at least 30% of their revenues from products introduced in the past 4 years. That's all. Thank you.